Welcome to Quick Speak, the English podcast. Today we're going to talk about something many people experience, career regret. That feeling of wondering, did I make the right choices about my job or profession? This is a great chance for you to practice your English listening skills while we explore this really common feeling. We'll look closely at why people feel this way and maybe what can be done about it. Our aim is to unpack this topic in a calm, clear way, perfect for English learners. So let's start. Where does this feeling, this regret, often begin? It seems like it starts inside us, right, with our thoughts and feelings.
That's exactly right. It often starts internally. Think about when you're younger, maybe late teens, early 20s. Psychologists talk about identity exploration during this time. You're trying to figure out who you are, what you value.
Right, trying on different hats, so to speak.
Precisely. And the career choices made then, well, they might be based on pretty limited experience. Maybe ideas you got from movies or TV, or perhaps advice from family or teachers.
So not always based on a deep understanding of yourself or the actual job.
Exactly. These early choices might not really match the person you become later on.
And that leads to that feeling of dissonance, is that the word?
Yes, identity dissonance. It's when who you feel you are, your sort of authentic self, feels really different from the role you have to play at work. This gap, this dissonance, it can cause a lot of unhappiness and, down the line, regret.
I also read about perfectionism playing a role.
Yeah.
The feeling that you should choose a certain job.
That's a big one. The should mentality, feeling like you must be a lawyer or a doctor, maybe because it's seen as successful, even if it doesn't feel right for you personally. People might push down feelings of stress or low motivation because they feel they should be happy in that prestigious role.
And then you invest so much time and energy, maybe money too.
Right. And that brings us to the sunk cost fallacy.
Ah, yes, the idea that because you've already spent so much, you have to keep going.
Exactly. You've put years into studying, maybe taken out loans, worked your way up. It feels impossible to just walk away. Even if you're unhappy, you think, I can't waste all that effort, so you stay stuck. This makes changing direction later feel incredibly difficult.
And feeling stuck like that for a long time, it must affect how you feel overall.
Absolutely. Long-term regret can really impact your self-esteem. It can lead to anxiety about the future, too, just constantly thinking, what if?
Okay, so those are some powerful internal reasons. But it's not all in our heads, is it? What about outside pressures? Family, society?
Oh, definitely. External factors are huge. Family expectations often play a massive role. Parents might push for careers they see as, successful or safe, maybe medicine, law, engineering.
And the fear of disappointing them can be really strong.
Immense. That feeling can add a whole other layer to the regret if you choose a path that doesn't align with your own desires, but pleases your family.
And what about friends? Especially now with social media everywhere.
That's a major point. Seeing friends' seemingly perfect careers online, the promotions, the travel, the excitement, it's easy to compare. You see their highlight reel and compare it to your everyday reality, which can make you feel pretty dissatisfied with your own job, even if their reality isn't perfect either.
The grass is always greener effect.
Exactly. And culture matters too. Some cultures are more collectivist. The family's needs or the community's needs come first.
Whereas others are more individualistic, focused on finding your personal passion.
Right. And interestingly, both systems can lead to regret, just in different ways. In collectivist settings, maybe you regret not pursuing a personal dream. In individualistic ones, maybe you regret not finding that perfect passion or choosing the wrong one.
And things like gender roles or background can intersect with this too.
Yes, definitely. For example, women who entered fields dominated by men years ago might look back. They might value their achievements, sure, but also regret the personal sacrifices made, maybe long hours or unfair treatment.
It's really complex. Okay, let's shift to another major factor. Money and the job market itself. The economy must play a part.
A huge part. The economy isn't static, it changes. Think about big events like the 2008 financial crisis or the recent pandemic. These events can completely reshape industries. Whole sectors might shrink, or the skills needed might change drastically.
So you could train for years for a specific field, and then suddenly the jobs just aren't there, or they're very different.
Precisely. People might regret their choice not because they hate the work, but because the economic ground shifted under them. Their skills might become less valuable or opportunities dry up.
And just the basic issue of pay, salaries not keeping up.
Yes, wage stagnation is a real issue mentioned. When the cost of living goes up faster than salaries, even a job you once liked can start to feel unsustainable or unrewarding.
I remember reading a specific statistic about people with advanced degrees.
Ah, yes. That survey finding that 45% of professionals with advanced degrees felt they weren't paid enough, especially considering the cost of getting that education. That really highlights the feeling of not getting a good return on your investment, a major source of regret.
So economic regret could be wishing for a higher salary, or maybe feeling trapped in a high-paying job you dislike because you need the money.
Exactly that tension. The financial need can force you to stay in a role you regret, which just makes the feeling worse. It feels like there's no way out.
This connects to another point, the gap between education and what jobs actually require.
Yes, that's a common theme. Sometimes universities focus heavily on theory, which is important, of course, but graduates might find they lack some practical skills needed right away, maybe specific digital tools, project planning, or even just effective workplace communication.
So they finish their degree and feel unprepared for the actual work.
It can happen. We saw examples like journalism students suddenly needing strong data analysis and social media skills, or engineering graduates finding their coding knowledge is already a bit dated. Realizing you need more training after years of study can definitely lead to regret about that time and money spent. You might feel like, was that the best use of my resources?
And getting that extra training, like boot camps or certifications, costs more money again.
Right, which can make changing careers feel even harder, potentially deepening that initial regret if you feel you're constantly trying to catch up.
Speaking of catching up, technology changes things so fast now. How does that feed into career regret?
Technology is a massive driver of change. Automation, AI, they're transforming jobs incredibly quickly. Skills that were valuable just a few years ago might become less important almost overnight.
So your expertise might become outdated much faster than you expected.
That's a real risk. People can feel blindsided, regretting maybe not learning a new software or technique sooner. There's pressure to constantly adapt.
And technology also affects how we see other jobs, right? Back to the social media point.
Yes, it makes it so easy to see those seemingly perfect, exciting jobs others have. That grass is greener syndrome gets amplified. You compare your routine tasks to someone else's curated online career highlights.
Plus, tech enables jobs to be done from anywhere, sometimes for less money.
Exactly. Global outsourcing is a reality. Certain jobs, especially those that can be done remotely, might move to places with lower wages. This can create insecurity in higher-cost countries and lead people to regret choosing a career path that's vulnerable to that kind of competition. They might wish they'd chosen something more hands-on or locally focused.
Wow. So many factors, internal, social, economic, technological. It's easy to see how this could really weigh on someone's mental health.
Absolutely. There's a strong link shown between chronic job unhappiness stemming from regret and things like anxiety, depression, and burnout. That constant feeling of being in the wrong place is exhausting.
And always thinking, what if? That must drain your energy.
It really does. That constant mental loop about past choices can make it hard to focus on the present or make decisions in other parts of your life. It can feel paralyzing.
There was a term mentioned, like a downward cycle.
Yes, the career regret spiral. Feeling regret can lower your motivation at work. This might lead to poor performance, maybe negative feedback, which then reinforces the feeling that you're in the wrong job, making the regret even deeper. It's a tough cycle to break.
But there are ways to cope, right?
Yeah.
What did the material suggest?
It did mention some strategies. One is cognitive reframing. That means consciously trying to see past choices not as mistakes, but as learning experiences. What did you learn, even from a path you regret?
Shifting your perspective on it.
Exactly. And mindfulness techniques were also mentioned, practices that help you focus on the present moment rather than getting lost in worries about the past or future.
And seeking help, therapy, or counseling.
Yes, that was noted as being very helpful. Talking to a professional can provide tools and perspective, though of course access to that kind of help isn't always easy or affordable for everyone.
Okay, so we understand the why a bit better. Let's talk about the what next. What practical steps can people take if they're feeling this regret?
Well, it doesn't always have to be a massive change. Sometimes smaller shifts can help. Things like lateral moves, finding a different role within your current company or industry that might be a better fit for your interests now.
Or maybe taking on different projects within your existing role,
Yes, that's part of it too, but sometimes a bigger change is needed.
like a completely new career path.
That's an option for sure. It usually takes planning, maybe using savings or studying part-time while you're still working.
And education for career change doesn't always mean another 4-year degree these days, right?
No, definitely not. There are so many options now. Online courses, specific certificates, shorter programs, or micro-credentials that focus on particular skills. These can be faster and often cheaper ways to reskill.
What about figuring out what new path to take? That seems like a big hurdle.
It is. Career coaching can be helpful here. Also, personality or interest assessments tools like the RIA-SAIC model or MBTI can give you insights into what kind of work environments and tasks might suit you best.
And just talking to people.
Hugely important. Networking, but not just for finding job openings. It's about informational interviews. Talk to people actually working in fields you're interested in. Ask them what their day is really like. Get the inside scoop. This helps manage expectations and avoid jumping into another situation you might regret.
And if a big change isn't possible right now, is there anything you can do in your current job?
Yes, the concept of job crafting is really useful. It's about finding ways to reshape your current role to make it more engaging or meaningful for you. Maybe you focus more on tasks you enjoy, find ways to use skills you value, or even just change how you think about the purpose of your work. It's about finding pockets of control and satisfaction.
So lots of potential strategies. It also seems like how people experience regret depends a bit on their generation.
That's a really interesting point that came up. Different age groups have faced different economic times and cultural norms, and that shapes their views on careers and regret.
Like baby boomers, who often had more stable careers.
Right. They might have stayed with one company for a long time. Their regret might surface later, perhaps wishing they'd pursued a passion instead of prioritizing stability, which seemed more readily available then.
And Generation X may be a bit more skeptical.
Possibly. They saw more economic shifts and downsizing. Their regret might be about not taking certain risks earlier, or maybe feeling stuck in the middle somewhere.
What about millennials and Gen Z? They seem to face different pressures.
Very different. Millennials often entered the job market around the 2008 crisis, many burdened with student debt. They might have had to take whatever job they could find, not necessarily what they wanted. This could lead to a longer-term feeling of being off track, and perhaps regret about those early compromises.
And Gen Z. They seem more willing to change jobs.
Yes, they often prioritize finding meaningful work and good pay, and they're more likely to switch jobs to find it. But the sheer number of options can be overwhelming. The regret might be different. Maybe anxiety about making the wrong choice among so many possibilities, or feeling like they're getting stuck even as they hop between roles. The fear of missing out applied to careers.
It really shows how context matters. And that context isn't just generational, it's global too, right? Regret looks different around the world.
Absolutely. Culture, economic systems, social safety nets, they all influence how career regret is felt and handled.
Like in places with strong government support.
Yes, take parts of Scandinavia, for example. If there's good support for retraining or unemployment benefits, changing careers feels less risky. People might still feel regret, but maybe less of that trapped feeling, because making a change is more feasible.
Compared to places where changing jobs means losing important things like health insurance or social standing.
Exactly. In systems like that, the cost of leaving a secure job, even one you regret, is incredibly high. People can feel genuinely stuck, which likely intensifies the regret.
What about fast-growing economies? Like India was mentioned.
Right. There might be intense competition for prestigious jobs, like in engineering or IT. People might achieve that goal, get the job, but then regret the intense pressure, long hours, or maybe having to live far from family.
Which might explain why side hustles are popular, pursuing a passion outside the main job.
That could be part of it. It's a way to find personal fulfillment or explore other interests while keeping the security of the primary job, possibly mitigating some of that regret.
And in places with less economic stability.
Like parts of Latin America mentioned. Regret there might be less about choosing the wrong prestigious path, and more about circumstances forcing people into informal work when they had trained for or aspired to something else, like teaching or a skilled trade. The regret is tied to a lack of opportunity itself.
It's a powerful reminder that this is deeply tied to our environment. Okay, looking ahead now, how might the future of work change how we think about career regret?
Several trends seem likely to have an impact. Remote work is a big one. More flexibility is great, but it can also blur the lines between work and life. Future regret might come from choosing roles without thinking through those implications, ending up feeling always on.
And the idea that careers won't be one straight line anymore.
Exactly. Lifelong learning and the idea of having several micro careers seems to be becoming the norm. This constant evolution might actually reduce that big lifelong regret about one major choice because changing is expected.
But maybe it creates smaller regrets along the way.
That's possible. Maybe regretting not learning a specific skill sooner or not pivoting quickly enough. The regret might become more about adaptability and timing.
And things like the gig economy or AI allowing people to monetize hobbies.
That could definitely help people avoid the regret of never pursuing a passion. If you can earn income from a niche skill or interest, it integrates that passion into your work life. On the flip side, jobs less affected by tech might feel less secure long term, potentially leading to regret about not choosing a more future-proof field.
So maybe future regret is less about the one big path and more about navigating the continuous changes.
That seems to be the direction things are heading, more about managing transitions and continuous learning, rather than finding the one perfect job for life.
We've covered so much today, really exploring this feeling of career regret from so many angles. From our inner psychology and the sunk cost trap, to family pressure, economic shifts, technology's impact, and how it all affects our well-being.
It's clear it's a really complex feeling, influenced by so many things inside and outside of us, and very, very common.
Understanding why we feel this way, exploring all those factors we discussed, that really seems like the essential first step.
Absolutely. Just knowing the potential reasons can make the feeling less overwhelming and maybe open up paths to dealing with it.
And for you listening, thinking about this topic in English is fantastic practice for building your vocabulary and comprehension. We hope this discussion has been helpful for your English learning journey. If you'd like more learning materials related to today's podcasts, like vocabulary lists or exercises to help you practice, please visit our website. You can find the link in the description of this podcast. And please consider subscribing so you don't miss future episodes where we discuss interesting topics to help you improve your English. So, as a final thought to leave you with, considering how much work is changing, maybe the best way to handle potential career regret isn't about finding the perfect job, but about embracing the idea of continuous learning and adapting throughout our working lives. Something to think about.